Welcome to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. I'm so glad to have you here with me today because we have somebody very special that we're going to be talking to today. Her name is Tammy Oluvic, and she and her husband Mike have a nonprofit called Saddles in Service. And the work that they do with veterans, with EMTs, with first responders and law enforcement people, combining them with horses and having a healing experience on many levels for them is fascinating and something I think you really want to learn more about. So please stay with us. We'll be talking with Tammy in just a few minutes. First, I want to remind everybody, Change It Up Radio is a show about change, obviously. Our goal is to either spotlight people who are trying to change the world and make it a better place, or to bring you information to help you deal more smoothly and productively with change. You can get more information about our show and hear past shows, well, on any place that you listen to podcasts, because we're on every major podcast platform. But also, if you go to changeitupradio.com, changeitupradio.com, you can hear past shows there, and you can also get information about being a guest or a sponsor on this show. And if you would like to learn more about my work, I am a life transition coach. I work with people dealing with change. So whether that change has resulted from a death, a divorce, a move, a change in health status, whatever brought the change, we humans have a tough time with change. You know, we need it for growth and to keep life interesting, but we really hate the discomfort of the unfamiliar. So that's where I come in my coaching work with people that are dealing with perhaps unwelcome change, or sometimes just even welcome change, but it still can come with its difficulties. And I am also a speaker and do speak for different groups and corporate events. And I'm an author. I have written 3 books. The first book I wrote was called Chakras, the Magnificent 7, and it's all about balancing those energy centers in the body that we know as the chakras. And then the next book I wrote was to help people dealing with loss. It's called Grief. When will this pain ever end? And, you know, it's one of those books you don't have to read from cover to cover, because when people are grieving, they so often are having difficulties with focus and clarity of thinking. So that book has short chapters and lots of articles and processes and tools to help people move through their grief so they don't get stuck in it and don't become it. And then my latest book is a little favorite. It's called Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. And saying the right thing literally teaches you what are the things you can say that are helpful and what are the things that are not helpful when you're having a conversation with someone in emotional pain. So be sure that you go to paulashaw.com. And of course, all these books are available on Amazon, but on paulashaw.com, you can pick up my free gift for you, which is a kind of a cheat sheet. It's an actual little PDF called 20 Things to Say and Not to Say to People in Pain. And it literally will give you sentences that are helpful and those that are not. And you can keep it in your glove box, in your briefcase, your purse, so that when those difficult conversations come up, you'll be ready. You can just cruise right through it, give it a scan, and then you'll feel more prepared and more capable of having an effective conversation with somebody who's hurting. All right, I think we've done all the initial stuff, and now let's get to the good part. So I want to introduce you to Tammy Oluvic. So first, let me tell you just a bit about her. Mike and Tammy's dream of saddles and service became a reality when Mike retired from the U.S. Navy in 2016. At that time, they purchased an equestrian ranch in Alpine, California. A couple of months later, Tammy learned about a group of horses that had been rescued from an abusive environment and were in need of a home. So 2 days later, they had their first two rescue horses, and today they home 15 amazing horses. Tammy wanted not only to rescue those horses, but to give them a purpose. And of course, she had a long standing love and desire to help veterans. And so it was out of that that Saddles in Service was born. And today it has grown to serve not only veterans, but law enforcement, firefighters, EMTs, first responders, and their families. All of these wonderful heroes that serve us need a place where they can be served and where they can be helped to heal. And Saddles in Service provides that. They opened their doors in 2017 and they are now a nonprofit foundation. So we want to learn a whole lot more about what they are doing. So, Tammy, please join us.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. I'm so delighted to have you here, Tammy. I love the work you're doing. And I always think it's kind of fun for the listeners to get to hear how did it all begin? So, obviously, you were the wife of a Navy man. And were you stationed here in San Diego? Were you already here?
Yes, well, yes, and thank you for having me on
Oh, my
too. I really
pleasure. My
appreciate
pleasure.
this. I'm looking forward to this. Yes, so San Diego was his last duty station before retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we had been here, I think, approximately 5 years. We've lived all over the world,
Mm.
have been stationed in many amazing places, but I don't, there's no place like San Diego. It's just such a
Too
beautiful
true.
place.
Too true.
Yes. And so my husband had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression,
Ah,
agoraphobia. And
wow.
so when we brought these horses on, I started to see his change, from the horses. And
Mm.
it was just, a God thing. He's like, this is what we have to do. We really need to start a nonprofit that we can pair these horses with our nations and our communities' heroes.
Mm. I love that. I love that. So let me ask you a question. What was Mike doing with the horses that seemed to be helping him heal?
Well, for one, with post traumatic stress, um, sometimes there's problems uh, dealing with your anger,
Yes.
right? And I can see when Mike is a little irritated at something, it can spiral and it can spiral out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he was with these horses, he had to be able to um, uh, not get angry, first of all, right?
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, the horse is going to flee, since they are prey animals. And so he had to work through any type of frustration. Instead of getting angry, finding a different way to deal with the frustration or a little
Ah.
trigger. And so I just, I would see these amazing moments with him and his horse. And it was just a beautiful thing. Instead of the anger,
Mm-hmm.
he was working through it.
Wow. And he came up with realizing this on his own because he could see that when the anger was present, it was affecting the horse badly. Is that what you're saying?
I think it was he felt it, he could
Mm-hmm.
feel it. And
Ah,
I was the one that pointed it out to him.
I see.
He didn't realize even this was happening.
Mm.
He just knew he felt better when he
Uh-huh.
was with the horse. But,
Wow.
we can see it. We can see a difference in how they respond to things. They may not see it, but family or friends or someone on the outside can see that.
So let me ask you, Tammy, do you have like a prescribed program a person goes through? Or let's say somebody new comes to you and they're probably dealing with PTSD because this population you serve are people who are always on the front lines, right? So is
Yes.
there a step by step by step kind of thing that they do?
Yes, there is. So we have four different levels that we take our heroes through, and we call them all
Ah,
heroes. They're
hmm,
all our,
I love.
they're someone's hero, and they're our heroes for what they do for us. And so when they come for an orientation, we will take them through what the program is going to entail.
Mhm.
And it starts with just basic knowledge of the horse and the predator prey relationship, and how horses will mirror what energy we're putting out or what we're
Ah,
feeling inside. The
hmm.
horses will mirror, and we can learn a lot about ourselves from the horse. And so we really dive into that you have to be present. You have to
Mm,
be in the here and now when you're with the
love that.
horse, because the horse will let you know if you've wandered in your mind, if you're not with them.
Uh-huh.
And it's quite interesting that these animals can do this, but they can.
Mm.
Uh, I wish I could ask them and they could tell me exactly how they know, but they
Me
know.
too, as a therapist, I'd like to help them find out
Yes.
what that secret is.
Yes. And so that's how we started. And then we teach them everything about horsemanship.
Mm-hmm.
So ours isn't just a program of um learning about the horse themselves, but they're going to be able to ride a horse, know how to exercise a horse, know
Ah,
how to know that horse is with you mentally, because that's super important. Some people will tell you, oh, you have to get your horse in a round pen and run him around to get the energy out of him, or calm him down. But really, when I put my horse in the round pen before I ride, I'm working with him to make sure he and I are connected and
ah.
that he's listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
When he is running around like a wild horse, all I have to do is start breathing, and I take some deep breaths. I slow down my breathing, and I will breathe him down to a walk. And so that's
No
when I know him
kidding.
and I are connected. No, I'm not kidding. And when these heroes come in there and I go, you know what? I go, start breathing now. Really concentrate on your breathing, and let's get your horse to come down now. Get him
Mm-hmm.
to a trot or to a walk. And when they do, and the horse completely responds, and then the horse will start licking his lips, which means he's processing this. It's it's remarkable. And
Oh.
so we start with this,
Mm-hmm.
and then we go into writing. And if the hero if they want to, we will teach them cattle work. And we do
Wow.
all kinds of things with the horses, because the horse is their partner. And when they do the cattle work, it's them and their horse working as a team. And so there's so much to say, but the connection and the relationship between the hero and the horse is truly the most important thing about this program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that trust, it's a mutual trust, it's a mutual respect. And when they've graduated our program, when they've gone through all four levels, we started a program in Wyoming, and we fly them up to Wyoming for a week. They fly into Cody, Wyoming, and we have an Army veteran, amazing horse whisperer, I will say. And they go for 5 days in the Bighorn Mountains. You're on your horse 7 hours a day.
Oh,
You're
wow.
moving cattle through some beautiful yet very challenging terrain. And so
Mm.
that is basically the graduation. And so every hero goes through the program at their own pace. We don't say, okay, you have 2 months to accomplish this.
Yeah.
Everyone goes at their own pace, and we really work individually, one-on-one, with the hero and their horse through their whole journey.
Wow. That is a huge time commitment for you guys, I would imagine.
Yes, it is. It is. We have some wonderful volunteers.
Mm. So let's say I'm one of the heroes and I've just begun and I've learned the basics now. I've learned about being connected to my horse, which, by the way, I find fascinating. I had no idea horses could read you so accurately like that, that you could actually breathe a horse into a state of calm. That's amazing to me. And the other thing I like is so often when I'm working with people, especially people who've suffered PTSD and they may be at a really high anxiety level, one of the things that one of the most powerful things they can do is bring themselves into the present, because anxiety lives in the future usually. We're worried about what might happen, right? It's not normally, not usually present in this moment. So if we can bring ourselves into this moment, it's such a great tool for coping with anxiety. And I love
Yes.
it that two of the things that are most important in the work you're doing with the guys and their animals is to learn to be present and to be calm in this moment and connected to your animal. I think that's
Yes.
such an amazing way to bring a person into the now, because only in this moment are we alive, right? I mean, we're only in our lives, alive in our lives anyway, here, because the rest is past or future, and that hasn't happened yet, and the other already did happen. So being present in the moment is such a huge tool in all of life, in my opinion. And I love that that's one of the first things that working with a horse helps you to do.
Yes, yes. And I have to tell you a little story about we had a Navy, the explosive ordnance technician,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked with the SEALs. And his anxiety level was just, I've never seen anything like it.
Oh,
And so when he started our program, I put him with the horse that had the highest amount of anxiety. And
oh
at
my
first,
God.
everyone was like, Tammy, are you sure? Like, I think we should put him with Dylan. And I go, but what's Dylan going to teach him about himself? Dylan
Ah,
is this big, like, puppy dog of a
brilliant.
horse. What's he going to teach him?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, all right. So I put him with a horse named Barbie, and he was able to step out of his own anxiety because he wanted to keep her calm and he wanted to keep her relaxed. And so for those couple hours a day that he was here, he felt what it was like to be free of his anxiety.
Mm,
And the hope is then the more they practice it, the easier it will become to bring
right.
themselves into that present
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Ah, this
So
is such beautiful work. And am I correct in understanding neither you nor Mike have training as a therapist or counselor or any of that kind of thing? You're
no, no. I was halfway through a master's in clinical psychology when we
oh,
started this, and I needed to just put that aside because this, takes all my time.
oh yes.
And so really I felt that um for us here, it was better not to have that clinical component,
Mm-hmm.
because I want them to not be worried about, is someone analyzing me right now? I
Yes.
want them to be who they are with their horse. Now, a lot of them share their experiences with their horse, with their clinicians, at their therapists. And it's really beautiful. They'll come back and tell me, oh, my therapist told me this. This was like huge breakthrough for me. And so I love to be able to work with therapists as well,
Mm-hmm.
because it's, well, the other thing about horses, they have no judgment. They're non-judgmental.
Oh, I
And
love
so I
that.
think a lot of these guys just feel so free because the horse could care less what they've done or what they're going to do. The
Mm-hmm.
horse just cares about the here and now with
Yes.
their person.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I am so loving this. And I have a million more questions I want to ask you, Tammy, but we need to take just a quick break
Okay.
and we will be right back. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio. I am your host, Paula Shaw, and with me today is Tammy Oluvic, and she is the creator, the person in charge, she and her husband Mike, of an amazing nonprofit called Saddles in Service. If you are just joining us, you must go back and listen to the beginning of the show when you have time, because this work that Tammy and her husband Mike are doing with EMTs, veterans, first responders, firefighters, all the people who are out there on the front lines and who can experience trauma and PTSD, uh, are people they work with horses, and what that relationship is creating for these men is amazing. So, Tammy, question: if you're one of the people I just named and you're interested in working with Saddles in Service, who's it available to? Do they have an application process? How does that all work?
Sure. We have an application process on our website
Okay.
at saddlesinservice.org, and they apply either to start the program or as a volunteer.
Ah.
And the heroes that go through our program, they've either been diagnosed with or are suffering, from the symptoms of post-traumatic stress,
Mhm.
anxiety, job-related stress, depression, or traumatic brain injuries, or all of the above.
Right.
Right? Some of these guys are experiencing all of these, and so um, when we go through the application process, we will ask some questions. Why do they want to
Hmm.
work with horses? Why do they want to do our program? And we do receive some um, of those whys that I realize, hey, we need to get these guys, this person in right away. And so we try and bring everyone into the program, but sometimes there are some that do need to be pushed to the front of the line.
Hmm.
um, and because for me, it's, we want to save lives. I mean,
Yes.
that's all there is to it. We want to
Mhm.
save lives. And so but yes, we look at their why. We have a case manager. She connects with them, and then we'll bring them out to orientation. And horses aren't for everybody. And so once they go through our orientation, we tell them what we do, we show them, we give them a tour. The majority want to start the program like that day. But there are some, I think horses can be intimidating.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting, uh, um, to see that.
I find there's so many things that you've said that I think are really fascinating on so many levels. But one of the things that I have recently learned myself, actually from a therapist from the VA, who was another person I have interviewed in this series I'm doing of the month of May being all about veterans or people who are serving veterans like yourself. And he was explaining to me that part of what happens, and one of the reasons we have this suicide huge problem among veterans and a lot of people who have experienced PTSD. One of the reasons is that we put them through military training, and that training completely shifts them, shifts their thinking, shifts their spirituality, shifts everything. It's sort of like the analogy he used is we're all kind of like sheep here. But when we go through that training, now we turn them into warriors. They are no longer sheep. But when their service is done, they're supposed to become sheep again. And they're now more
Right.
like sheep dogs. They're protectors. They're out there. They're wanting to herd and they're wanting to follow orders from excellent leadership. And when they don't experience those things, they kind of go to this place of who am I? Why am I here? They lose their identity, they lose their purpose, they lose all this, and they're not getting the help they need in many cases to reintegrate. So there's this reintegration syndrome that happens. And that's where the suicide rate starts climbing because they just feel like, I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. Why, maybe I don't need to be here. But here's the interesting thing this man told me, this therapist. He said, once they find a community or a purpose or even some kind of treatment, the suicide rate goes down to 4%. That's
Wow.
huge. So what
Yes.
you're doing is, in my opinion, you're providing purpose, connection,
Mhm.
community, all these things that are so important. They're developing
Yes.
a relationship with this animal, if I'm correct, and they're
Yes.
feeling they matter to that animal, right?
Yes. Yes. I think one of the key words you said too is connected,
Mhm.
because so many have said they felt disconnected.
Yes.
They're lost, they feel disconnected,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden they feel connected again. And
Yes.
that's powerful to feel that connection
Huge.
and that purpose, right? And I
Mhm.
think also some of them, some of the guys who have are, battle warriors, right?
Right?
Some of them need a challenge as well. They need that little adrenaline rush every now and then, right?
Yes.
And so instead of, they talk about with post-traumatic stress, a lot of them, uh, get involved with risky behavior, right? Because they need that adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Well, I have no problem giving them an adrenaline rush right here with one of these big Mustangs we have now. So
Woo.
if they need an adrenaline rush, I can do it. And but it's a little more healthy.
In a safer way, yes, for sure.
Yes, yes, but yes, that we just we signed up. We're going to have a training here. I am very much into training and education for my wranglers and our ranch hands. Those are all of our volunteers.
Mhm.
And so we're going to be doing, and I think you'll really like this. So we're going to be doing a training on equine assisted learning and activities, but the fifth day of it is all mindfulness meditation
Oh,
with
I love that.
horses. And
Great.
so I'm really excited about this. I'm not quite sure what to expect. They explained it, but I'm a visual person, so I have to see it,
Mhm.
just hearing about it. But I think the mindfulness meditation
Mm.
is super important. And we've been hearing a lot about that with, fire and police. They're having them do yoga. They want them to be more mindful, and so here we can do this with a horse, and I just think that's
Wow.
really cool.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing, amazing. And again, it comes back to mindfulness is really all about being very present in the moment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
really, truly, that's the only place we can feel authentically, where we can do anything about what we're experiencing. That it all comes back to this being present that you talked about earlier, Tammy. And
Yes.
mindfulness, tying that in, is beautiful because it'll just give the guys more skills, the heroes, I should say, the heroes more skills for getting to that place where they can
Yes.
effectively heal. So I
Yes.
think that's so fabulous. So, where do your
Uh,
horses come from, Tammy?
so the majority of our horses have been rescue horses. And
Mm-hmm.
then we also have received, owner surrender. Maybe they can't care for their horse any longer.
Uh-huh.
Um, we've had some given to us because of divorce. And a few of them we have purchased, but then the Border Patrol just donated two of their Mustangs,
Oh.
and so that's been remarkable. So the Mustang, if they didn't come to us, they would have went to another foundation, but they would have just lived their lives out uh, with no
Oh.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's giving, it's interesting because we're giving the horses purpose again too. I mean,
Yes.
they need purpose. And I have a 33-year-old horse, 33-year-old mare, and she loves doing this.
Mm.
She loves to be with the heroes. Like, you can tell the horses love it. And they have a job.
So, when
And
a
it's
horse
really,
is a rescue horse, does that mean they've been in some kind of an abusive situation usually?
yes. So some of them have been in abusive situations. Some are at the slaughter auction.
Oh.
So a lot of times they go to these auctions, and you have people come in that just buy as many horses as they can because they're they sell them per pound over the border, to slaughter. And
Mm.
so yeah, we're rescuing them from who knows what kind of life, or no life at all anymore.
Exactly.
um and so the first two horses, one was abandoned. Someone just left him and abandoned him.
Oh.
And the other horse was confiscated from a ranch. He was skin and bones.
Mm.
A beautiful thoroughbred, but just a mess. And
Oh.
so, really, and working through those issues, the one that was abandoned,
Mm-hmm.
he's very food aggressive because he probably had to fight to find food, and he
Right.
doesn't trust many people. And so
Mm.
the horses do, they have some issues as well that we try and help them through. Like I
Mm.
said, we can't talk to them. I wish they could speak to us,
Yeah.
but we really try to listen to
Mm-hmm.
them by the way they respond to us,
Mm.
and the way they respond to different people or situations.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I had no idea that you had wounded warriors on both sides and that
Yes.
this work is also helping the animals so much. And
And
this idea that a horse could actually know when it has purpose, that's new to me too, and I think that's so beautiful and it makes so much sense because they are
yeah,
living creatures and they are beings who, as you pointed out earlier, are very tuned in to the humans around them.
yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
So
And
if I was just going to
I
say, so
think that,
if a horse knows that the person values them and the person is giving them attention and focus, that's helping them to feel that they matter and helping them to heal. Is that correct?
yes. and
Wow.
and yes, and I think, and you see these heroes that are coming out here, they fall in love with these horses, and they want to help heal the horses as well,
Hmm.
and in turn they're actually being healed.
Yeah.
It's so,
It's
it's
magical.
it's but it
Mm.
it truly is. It's so hard to explain.
Oh my goodness. It's such
It just
beautiful work,
happens.
Tammy. I think, I
Thank
mean, really,
you.
I think to myself, in my next life, I want to be Tammy. I want to be out there on the ranch doing this work every day that you feel so blessed to be able to do. And that's so
Yeah.
important. It's so
Yes.
great.
And it's funny. People ask me all the time, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? Are you just exhausted by the end of the day? And I think about it and I go, okay, sometimes physically my body, yes, sometimes it does feel exhausted, but I'm so energized by
Mhm.
just the people. Like I really,
Yes.
the energy that we have here is just so, it's just amazing.
Mm. Well, I can't wait to come out and visit because I think it's
Yes,
incredible. A while back, I interviewed the gal who owns lions, tigers, and bears, which is a
yes,
sanctuary for animals who have been abused. And I'm blanking right now on her. Oh, Bobby Brink.
Bobby.
Yes.
He's right down the road from me.
Oh, that's so cool. Then I know where you are. I've been to Bobby's place and had an amazing experience with my daughter there. But I feel that same way, like she is a woman on a mission and she is so committed to what she's doing. And it's a big commitment, because you've got to feed these animals. You've got to have the gear for everybody. And so
Yes.
how do you guys survive financially? Who who is sponsoring, supporting Saddles in Service?
So we have we have been blessed. um, it's all donor, we're donor funded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we and I will tell you, over 98 cents of every dollar donated goes directly into our program.
I
Less
believe
than
it.
2 cents is administrative. I don't have a salary. We have two part-time employees
Mm-hmm.
that work with the horses and the heroes. Um, but we through Amy, our mutual friend,
Mm-hmm.
we were showcased in a documentary, Wounded Heroes.
I heard about
Through
that.
that, we were then showcased on Operation Outdoor Freedom. And then the Yance Valor Foundation learned about us. And just this year, they gave us a $155,000 grant
Oh,
to
yay.
build a barn and bunkhouse because we have so many men and women applying to our program from out of state. And I don't have a place for them to stay. So
Mm-hmm.
we will, thanks to the Yance Fowler
Oh
Foundation.
my
And
goodness, how
but
beautiful.
we have some great companies that support us, um, and donors. Every dollar counts. I have
Mm-hmm.
donors that give $10 a month every
Mm-hmm.
month,
Oh,
and that's
great.
just as important, right?
Yes.
So definitely, the donors are our lifeblood, to be able to continue this program. um Apparently I wasn't thinking when I started this foundation because I had instant overhead. I was like, oh yeah, I
Yes.
didn't think. And then I would tell my husband, oh, we're getting a free horse. He's like, okay, Tammy, it's not free. I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm not
You
paying
got to
anything.
feed
they're
them.
they're donating it. He's like, no, but it comes with expenses. I'm like, oh, we'll figure that out. That will take care of itself. And so,
Oh.
but yeah, having the horses with their veterinary costs,
Mm,
their hooves, having their hooves done every 6 weeks.
sure.
Um, that's over $2,000 every 6 weeks just to have all their hooves done.
Wow.
And so, and feed, oh,
Mm-hmm.
feed with the inflation, it's gone up $6 a bale. And we go through just about 100 bales a month.
Oh my.
And it's gone
Yeah,
up
that's a
quite a
big
bit.
expense.
So, but yes, so we're very thankful for our donors and just getting the awareness out to people of what we're doing and who
Mm-hmm.
we are and who we're helping.
And
I mean,
if, go ahead.
I feel that as we're healing and helping our heroes, connect again,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to help them in their family lives, in
Oh,
their work lives. It's going to
absolutely.
build better communities. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a ripple effect.
It's a beautiful point, and it's so true. It's absolutely so true. So, if any of our listeners would like to donate, how do they do that, Tammy?
Well, they can go straight to our website, saddlesinservice.org, or they can also mail us a check
Mhm.
to our P.O. box, which is right there on our website as well. And or they can come by, they can schedule a visit and come on out and take a tour and do it that way.
I love that idea. I'm going to do that for sure. I'll see if I can
Thanks.
recruit my daughter again. She went with me to see lions and tigers and bears. And I always want to say, oh my. But anyway,
I know, I
so
know.
I know she'll love coming out here, and maybe I'll recruit my son too. I'd love them to meet you and see
Oh,
this
we'd love that.
beautiful work that you guys are doing. So,
We'd
Tammy,
love
I unfortunately we're out of time because I could ask you questions all day. I just want to thank you for what you're doing for these heroes, for these people who have made sacrifices to take care of us. And you're now giving them this safe sanctuary where they can heal, where they can learn better skills to be more effective in their own lives. And that's such beautiful work. So I thank you, and I thank you for being on my show today. I am delighted to get to connect with people like you and to bring you to others. So thank you, Tammy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you to my listeners for being with us. Remember, this whole month of May, we are doing shows about veterans and people who are serving our veterans. And you can hear us on every major podcast platform, including iHeartRadio and Podopolo, the newest, latest, and greatest platform. And you can also hear past shows and this show and see the show notes if you want to learn more about Tammy and Mike and Saddles in Service on changeitupradio.com. So until next week, when we'll be interviewing another amazing veteran or someone serving veterans, please join us for that and take care. And bye bye now.